Hey there, folks. It's James coming to you with this week's episode of the podcast Teed Off, where I get into all the news that is news, that will be news, and that ever was news, at least on my channel. I'm going to get into 5 stories today with no filter, no fluff, and as always, no political affiliations. Actually, the word Trump, Robert Kennedy Jr., Tylenol, Charlie Kirk, none of those are going to be in any part of this today, so super. You want that sort of stuff? Go to CNN or Fox and you can get the circus that is the Washington, D.C. with Trump playing P.T. Barnum anytime you want. It will not happen here. Before we get into it, I want to share some exciting stuff. This week, we'll be putting out a Back Nine Building series. This will be a bi-weekly, and I say that, I was thinking about that earlier, much the same how we play on words. Is bi-weekly twice a week, or is it every other week? Because I guess you work at a job and they say you're paid bi-weekly, then you're paid every 2 weeks. But bi-weekly also sounds like it should be twice a week. I guess if you say bi-yearly, you would figure it'd be 6 months, but bi-weekly sounds like it put out 2 episodes a week, but I won't be doing that. But it's a very exciting thing. Actually, I'm going to give you a little preview right here. A little preview of this week's Back Nine Building series, and it's going to deal with the 9 tools for painters in under 9 minutes. And we're going to get into episodes like that, 9 tools in under 9 minutes. Here, take a look. So, you're thinking about painting. And I'm not talking about the Bob Ross, happy little trees kind of painting. I'm talking about your wife wants the bedroom a different color at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday night kind of painting. Well, before you crack into that first gallon of paint, take a few minutes to watch this video because I'm going to get into the 9 must-have tools for any DIY paint job to look like a professional, polished, clean finish. And I'm willing to bet that number 7, you've never even heard of. So let's get into some Back Nine building. That's right, folks. The Back Nine Studios now has a green screen. So I'm going to be doing all kinds of different things from all over the world. I might be doing some episodes on the top of Mount Everest. A couple other exciting things. I have been doing my research and going to be purchasing podcast stuff to be able to do guests, hopefully remotely as well as in studio. The website www.back9life.com. It actually should be up probably by the time I air this episode. It should be up and going, and there will be a place there to sign up for all the freebies that you're going to be getting from the Back Nine Life. Which one we want to start with? Let's start with the housing market. It's always a good thing to start with the housing market. Housing definitively swings to a buyer's market. Yay! We spent so much time watching these housing prices go crazy, and maybe now we'll get some buyers to drag them down a little bit. But let's take a look at it real quick and see if this is actually the case, or if this article's just trying to goat you into something. Goad, not goat. No, that's sheep. What? Goad you in. 7 major metro areas are now definitely buyer's markets. I didn't look into which ones, but the metro areas, they swing. Housing is very much a regional thing, but 23 others in a balanced state. That's good. That means some of you people that are first-time home buyers, maybe you can get into this market. The Federal Reserve just lowered interest rates this month again, maybe dragging them down. I personally have seen the Federal Reserve do this a lot of times, and I think that they're too late again, and I think that they're going to push us into a recession. They probably should have been lowering those rates a lot earlier, but politics kind of play into that sort of stuff. Yeah, I mean, it looks like bidding wars are going to be replaced with begging wars. And yard sale signs are now going to have spray-painted OBO, or best offer, on the bottom of them if they sit there too long. Let's get into the pricing now. The average price of a new home is $512,800. Wow, that is expensive. But the average price can be skewed by higher-end homes will skew that price up because the average is just the average of the total amount sold. So the median is the better way to look at it. Let's look at the median price of these homes, which means half of them are sold for more than that and half of them are sold for less. The median price is $410,800. That just makes things complicated, doesn't it? I mean, with a 6%, a 30-year fixed mortgage on that, you're talking about, oh, I mean, I didn't do the math, but it's probably right around $2,500 a month. And that's just your mortgage and your interest payments. That does not include the taxes. It does not include the insurance. It does not include the HOA fees. It does not include the maintenance. It does not include the electrical bills. It does not include the gas bills, the water bills, the trash. It does not include any of that. As an investor, if I bought something like this, if I'm investing in something, as far as real estate goes, I look at a 1% rule. So $410,000 means I want to get 1% of revenue out of that property per month. That will basically put me on, if I pay cash for it instead of having a mortgage, that will put me on a year, maybe getting a profit margin of about 10%. So I get 10% on my investment, which means in 7.2 years or 7 years, 4 months, something like that, I've gotten all my money back out of that property. Plus I get the appreciation of it. So that's what I'm looking at. So if I'm 1% on a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house at $410,000, I'm looking to get $4,100 a month rent out of that. Now, this isn't to say that rents are averaging that. They're not, because apartments are not houses. Apartment rents are probably, I think I read somewhere that they're around $1,800 a month now on the average, which the higher rents skew that average up and lower rents will skew it down. This is high. This is very high. I mean, the housing bubble is calling, and it's saying, I'm almost out of breath. I mean, people will sit there and tell you that the housing market's doing great, everything's fine, everything's this, everything's that, but that's a lot of money. We'll see. Housing is tough. Housing is tough. If you've still got that 3% mortgage, hang on to that thing. Hang on to that. Fear grips major U.S. city as accused teen killer escapes in jail air. I read this article. It was not an escape. They let him go. This was an administrative fault. But I love how this article says escape, just to scare and fearmonger you into certain things. Just fear. That's what we do. That's what our press likes to do, is fearmonger. But the prison staff is being retrained now on how locked doors actually work. So feel safe. But the staff was actually confused. They were confused by all the multiple choice questions on the release forms. They just didn't understand it. So it wasn't their fault. Yeah, right. What it was a spreadsheet glitch. It was, they labeled him, instead of an accused murderer, as a motivational speaker. Yeah, this kid's got a future. But looking at this, it wasn't so much the escape. This was in Oregon, and they'll find the kid and bring him back. But this is what our justice system does, and this is not a political thing. This is just a poorly ran piece of the American government, more poorly than the other two, which is amazing because they are so inefficient and waste so much money, are so far away from benefiting the American public. But the judicial branch is the worst. It is the worst by far. He was denied bail, but they still let him out. So they couldn't even read a judge's order. This reminds me of a story. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I was actually on a jury for one of the highest profile murder cases in St. Louis. Got called to jury duty, which I had never been called in my life. And I figured I'd go down there and hang out for a few hours, and then they'd say, hey, go home. I was rehearsing things to say so I wouldn't have to be on a jury. It was me and 300 people. Ultimately, about the first half of the day was just sitting reading a book in a room with other people. Then they finally brought us up to a courtroom. I came to realize it was actually a murder trial, and it was a 5-count murder trial. There was 5 people killed in this thing on one night. And so I was like, well, this is at least interesting. This isn't an insurance fraud case. Lawyers, first off, they picked certain people, and I got picked to be in this first batch. And so we go into the courtroom, and we're sitting there, and the lawyers start to ask us questions, and they got to me, and they asked me a question. They said something like, if there was only circumstantial evidence against somebody, would you have a problem convicting them or acquitting them if there was not DNA evidence or anything like that? And my answer was basically that at some point, circumstantial evidence becomes overwhelming that you can't say that something's a coincidence. So I would not have a problem with that. Well, I guess that was gold to both the defense attorney and the prosecuting attorney because I got picked for that jury. And I was like, oh, cool, okay, I guess I'll be on a jury and get paid $27 a day or whatever they're going to pay me. And no, I thought, this 5-person murder trial is going to take, maybe a month. Oh no, the judge that day, it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd been sitting there all day since 8 o'clock in the morning. All of us jury had, and he said, okay, we're going to start this trial right now. Opening statements right now. So we're like, okay, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, I guess we're getting at it. He's like, and he told us, he's like, this trial will be done in 3 days. And he told the attorneys, he said, 3 days this trial is going to take. Well, kind of blown away. Well, swift justice. Obviously, this judge is like, hey, we're going to get this done. But I came to realize he had a partner who was already convicted of these murders. We saw all the murders. It was in a drug house up in North St. Louis. All of them were shot in the head. Saw all the photos and everything else. It was drama. It was actually like a TV drama. I mean, they brought his partner in from the jail, and he's sitting there just literally, 5 feet from me. And this guy's a thug, just a straight thug. And the defense attorney, he's questioning him and gets him so mad. I mean, this attorney was good at what he did. He worked him up. This was Perry Mason going on over here. This guy was good. He worked this guy up and had him threatening them, threatening us. The judge was banging his gavel, everything. It was crazy. But like I said, the judge kept this thing rolling. Cool. But I came to understand this was in 2023. This guy that they had, which it was just a bunch of circumstantial evidence, he might have been along with this other guy, but you could already tell that this other guy, without a doubt, killed these people. He might have threatened this guy to come along or something like that, but the state couldn't prove any of that. So we eventually found him not guilty, but easily. It only took us like an hour of deliberations to find this guy not guilty. But came to realize, like I said, I thought this system was moving so fast. No, this poor guy, and I say poor guy, it's not like he was a model citizen or anything like that. But he wasn't guilty of the crime that the state was trying to convict him of here. He had been arrested in 2019, denied bail, and was now getting his trial in 2023 that we acquitted him on in an hour. He's been sitting in jail for 4 years, waiting on his constitutional right to a speedy trial. And what baffled me even more is after we found him not guilty and he started crying, his family was out there crying, and he's looking right at me and he's thank you. And I'm just kind of like, well, just don't come down to Baldwin, okay? Hang out in North, because like you said, the guy was not a nice guy, but he wasn't guilty of that crime. So the judge told him then, though, that he would have to go back to the jail that night so in order for them to process him out, to do the paperwork to get him released. And he's like, okay. And his lawyer was like, okay. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You had me for 4 years? 4 years in jail for a crime I did not commit? And now you want me to go back after these 12 people have said that I'm not guilty? I would have ran out of that courtroom right then. You're crazy. Crazy. Our judicial system is just screwed. I mean, isn't that a wacky story? This guy gets 4 years taken away from him. Something he didn't do. Oh. Anyway, number 3. Armed group robs jewelry store as organized theft persists. One guess where this took place. What state? What state did this take place in? I'll give you a guess. You can put it in the comment. Actually, I'll give you a hint. It starts with a C and it ends with an California. That's right. It's California. California's having a huge problem with this sort of stuff, and they are not doing much about it. They really aren't. But the Ocean's 11 crowd is watching like they are proud parents at these guys. These guys, I guess, they get online in forums and say, hey, let's meet at 4 o'clock tomorrow at the jewelry store and we'll just bum rush them. We'll bum rush them, take $1 million worth of stuff, which is what they got away with in this article, was $1 million worth of jewels. I mean, it's kind of our fault, I guess. It's our fault. We thought that the flash mob things 10 years ago where they were doing ABBA songs or Bohemian Rhapsody. I see a little silhouette, do the fandango. Where they just get in these flash mob things organized, and then they'd show up in public, and then they'd just start doing a little song, dance, musical to Frozen, whatever. It was great. It was fun. We all loved it. We all watched doing it online. But they've innovated. They've turned it around, and now they're doing these flash mobs in jewelry stores, in Costco's, which it's not just in California. California's just having the most of it. Yeah. But it is in the cities. And at least these guys, at least they're shopping local. You know what I mean? At least they're keeping it in their cities. They're not bringing them down into us rural areas. And that's good because we have guns down here. But I'm not saying that anything about guns. This is not a political thing. Just keep it in the cities. Keep it in the cities. But experts are confirming that crime is now more organized than Congress. Surprise, surprise. All right, let's get into the next one. Okay, Ryder Cup this weekend. Bethpage Black, New York. It's tough course. Checked into the setup they're going to do on it. They're actually going to widen the fairways. The rough isn't going to be as bad. They don't want to have bogeys flying out there all over the place. So these guys are okay. But this is still a monster course. Spoiler alert, man. Bethpage Black always plays defense. I play it on Tiger Woods a lot. Tiger Woods PGA Tour. And I can't shoot my normal 52, 53 round on it. I will shoot 57, 58, 59, which is bad on Tiger Woods because you can move the ball in the air. Anyway, the sign there at the front of it says, the sign at the course, it says that this is a very difficult golf course and it's only advised for highly skilled golfers. And it is. It's a long course. I mean, with the way they're setting it up, this is what a 4-handicap golfer shot at Bethpage Black just before the Ryder Cup, which he shot in 83, which is actually pretty good. 83 is pretty good for a 4-handicap out there. It's a public course, and this is actually a cheaper one. It's only like $130 to $160 to play it, depending on weekdays, weekends. But it's a monster. It's a monster course. The hole number 7 this weekend will be 524-yard par 4. I think they have 4 par 4s under 500, over 4 par 4s over 500 yards. That's monster. Now, these guys on tour, it's not as bad for them, but that's a monster distance for a regular golfer. Par 5 is 608 yards. That's long, but that's a birdie for these guys. Hole 17 is a par 3. It's only 180 yards, but man, this thing has 6 bunkers surrounding it. That all these bunkers are just as big, if not bigger, than the green itself. It's very challenging hole. The U.S. team is getting paid. The Europeans still aren't, but the U.S. team is getting paid. And they're getting paid $500,000 a piece for just going to work this weekend. That's a good chunk of change. But for these guys, actually, I mean, most of them are multi-millionaires by far. $500,000, they usually won't get out of bed to play for that. You know, they won't go hit a range ball for that much. But the $500,000 is $300,000 of it is earmarked for charities, and then it's a $200,000 player stipend. So they're getting paid $200,000, which isn't bad. It's more than what I make for a weekend of golf. If you don't know the Ryder Cup, it's a team event. It's the U.S. versus the Europeans. It's so exciting. My buddy went to the one in Italy a couple years ago, Nasty Nathan. Nasty Nathan was over in Italy whenever he saw us get our asses kicked, our asses handed to him by the Europeans that year. So we're looking for a little retribution. This only goes on every 2 is it 2 years? Yeah, every 2 years. And it's a fun time. If you've never watched golf or anything, the Ryder Cup is where you should start. It's fun time. Watch the Ryder Cup this weekend. This episode will be coming out right as it gets over, so I'm going to make my prediction that the U.S. will win. I think we'll pull it out. We're usually pretty good on our own soil. So Bethpage Black this weekend, Ryder Cup. I'll be watching. It's a fun time. Fun time. If you're not into golf, this could get you into it. So watch it. All right, number 5. Sports Illustrated cover girl reveals what it takes to win her heart after divorce. Well, I picked this up. I'm just going to tell you guys right now, it's not a gym membership, but if you can't beat The Rock in arm wrestling, yeah, you don't have a prayer. This is Supermodel, Sports Illustrated Supermodel. I was looking at it because I was like, okay, now I'm thinking about starting dating again. My divorce has been a few years ago. I have chatted with women and gone on a few dates. Most of them were pretty much like banging my head against a wall. I was like, okay, I'll see. And I was like, I might as well shoot for the stars. Shoot for the stars. See what it's going to take for me to bag a Sports Illustrated model for my next girlfriend. She did good in this article and said, okay, first and foremost, you got to have a personality. Personality was her big thing. If you have a personality, you're great. Cool, I got a chance because I have personality. I really do. I'm not lying to you guys. I do have a personality. Then I got a little further and it said she also liked that whenever men take control and want to say where they're going on dates and things like that, because she said in her life she just decides too many of the where we go eats and where we go shopping, and she does that all the time, and she thinks it's just sexy for a man to do that. So I was like, cool, I could do that. I could do that too. I could definitely say, hey, we're going to eat at the burger joint tonight. We're going to eat at the hot dog stand down in Central Park. We're going to do that. And I was like, so I was pumped. I was like, man, if I had her on Bumble right now, I'd have her. I'd get it. And then it came. She likes the man to be in control, and whether he's picking her up for a date in his car, or in his helicopter, she likes that. So the minute she said helicopter, picks up in a helicopter. I've never picked up a girlfriend for a date, or a girl for a date in a helicopter. I don't have one yet. We just don't have enough subscribers on the channel and views yet for me to pick this girl up in a helicopter. So, and she's only 28 years old. She, divorced at 28, supermodel. I did date a couple models whenever I lived in LA, and to tell you, it's hard work. Dating models is hard work. Very hard work, and it's not very rewarding whenever it comes down to it. So there we have it. Short, sweet, simple this week. As I said, got the Back 9 building series coming out next Thursday, October 2nd. It will be out, and that will be a twice a month situation. The websites should be up by the time this comes out. Maybe not, but I'll have the link below to it. Thanks for coming by, guys. If you enjoy the content, click that little thumb down there, crunch that little subscribe button, and comment down below. I'll see you guys next week.